Welcome to the webinar of ERC Funding Opportunities for Excellence Researchers in Greece. This webinar is co-organized by the European Research Council Executive Agency and Praxi Network, the Greek national contact point of European Research Council, but also Technology Transfer Unit of Foundation and Research and Technology in Greece. My name is Evi Lianidou, and together with Dr. Christina as ERC and CPs, we will be your moderators today. The scope of this webinar is not only to provide valuable insights and tips for successful applications, but also to hear the voices of ERC grantees, ambassadors, and how you can benefit from our services, the ERC NCP team. We can work together towards a main goal to encourage Greek excellent researchers to apply in ERC calls and raise the quality and number of successful Greek ERC proposals. So before we begin, some housekeeping rules. The recorded webinar will be uploaded online in Praxi Network YouTube channel, but also in the ERC website. Also, you can use the chat box only for questions. Your microphones and cameras should be closed during all the webinar. Our speakers will answer to your questions in 2 dedicated Q&As. So if we don't manage to answer all your questions, don't worry, we will get back to you by email after the webinar. Finally, presentations will be sent to all registered participants after the event. Now, I would like to open the webinar with a short welcome from our director in Praxi Network, but also chairman in the board of directors in the Foundation of Research and Technology, Hellas, and also professor in the Department of Physics in the University of Crete. Dr. Charmandaris, Vassilis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. The title was going to be longer than my speech, actually. I would like to welcome you. First of all, I would like to thank everyone, Evropi, as well as Christina and everyone else from our side for organizing this very useful event. I'm sure that it will be beneficial to all of you. The ERC is a wonderful initiative that started several years ago, actually, thanks to an original idea of a person who was associated with Forth, Professor Kafatos, and his idea was actually to create a mechanism by which people who have dreams about doing cutting-edge science in Europe, that they can realize them in the most efficient way. This has been proven a wonderful initiative, and it has been proven that it can deliver high quality science as well as keep excellent researchers in Europe, helping the advancement of basic and applied research in Europe. So I would like to encourage all of you to follow the seminar today, ask useful questions or any question that you may have, and exploit the opportunities that will be offered to you through this very important European initiative. I'm sure that at least from the Greek side, Praxi Network and the NCPs have the experience to answer your questions, and also the fourth organization in its own and the programs office would be more than willing to support you in any of these endeavors that you may want to take down the road. So without further ado, I would like to thank once more the organizers for that, and I wish you a very fruitful workshop today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charmandaris, for your points and the importance of excellence in Greece. Dr. Anastasios Gaitanis, the General Secretary for Research and Innovation, will be join us a little bit later because of an urgent issue. And now I would like to invite for a short welcome Samantha, Head of Sector in Global Outreach and Stakeholders in the relations in the Communication Unit of ERC. So, Samantha, please, the floor is yours.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to Kalimera. Thank you very much, Evropi, for the short introduction. So again, I want to thank also all the colleagues involved on the Greek side, and my colleague Yanis, who's been helping a lot also for this webinar. He's the ERC NCP coordinator here in the agency in Brussels. So I'm delighted to see that there's so many of you joining us online today. I understand that we have more than 300, I think, participants, which is an impressive number. So this turnout actually shows the real interest, and it's very encouraging to see this number, because both the ERC Executive Agency and in particular the ERC Scientific Council believe that there's enormous potential for more researchers from Greece to apply for ERC grants. So the Council has repeatedly underlined the importance of widening participation across Europe so that ERC truly reflects the scientific excellence present in all our countries. So increasing application from Greece and other underrepresented countries is a key part of this mission. So to support this, the Scientific Council has created, maybe many of you know this, but a dedicated working group tasked with identifying ways to increase applications from across Europe. And the mandate is clear: to help build a truly inclusive European scientific community and to foster a culture of excellence and competitiveness that reaches every corner of our continent. So on the side of the agency, we also organize events like this one today, many webinars, and is actually very timely because the 2026 work program was adopted in July, this summer. And since then, we have been holding a lot of webinars, online sessions in July and recently in September. And all these are designed to explain the changes in the work program and how they affect applications and evaluation for starting, consolidator, and advanced grants. These online sessions are valuable not only for presenting information, but also because we invite ERC grantees, and we have a few today online, and I'm very happy to see this, and panel members to share their personal testimonials. So the authentic voices bring the ERC experience to life, and they allow participants to ask questions directly to them and gaining insights that may go beyond the actual information that is in the guidelines. So if you haven't yet had a chance, I encourage you also to watch the recordings that we have available on the ERC YouTube channel. All the information is there too. We've also launched a new series of tutorials called ERC classes. And these short video models guide you step by step through the application and evaluation process. And you find the links also on the webinar page. And I believe that my colleague Dia from the scientific department from the ERC will also mention them maybe later in her presentation. So looking at today's agenda, and I'm very glad also to see that Themis will be presenting a new initiative launched in April called the Ambassadors for the ERC. So this is a new network, and she'll give you all the explanation behind when she has a presentation. But I just wanted to give you a bit of an update on this, because it's made up of 32 outstanding researchers, and the role is to advocate for frontier research. So they will be engaging with policymakers, the media, local communities to underline why Europe must continue to invest in fundamental research. So the advocacy is crucial. As Europe looks ahead to the next framework program and future budgets, it is vital that the ERC community speaks with a strong voice to our policymakers, reminding them of the importance of supporting excellent investigator-driven research. So I would like to thank again Themis for her contribution today. So finally, let me mention another important support measure, the new coordination and support action known as Mercury, which will be presented later, I guess, by Europi. This initiative is designed to ensure that researchers everywhere in Europe have access to high quality guidance and advice when preparing ERC proposals. And we see this as an essential step in making ERC opportunities as accessible as possible. So I will stop here so we can move on to the next speakers. Once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you all the organizers. It's been a pleasure to introduce the ERC quickly. beginning of this webinar, and wish you an inspiring session with excellent discussions and great speakers. Thank you very much. Back to you, Evropi.
Thank you very much, Samantha, for all this valuable information. In fact, ERC has a lot of materials in the website, so take advantage of this, and it is very valuable for all the applicants to be informed in your website. Okay, so thank you. Our first speaker will be Themis Alissafi, the ambassador of ERC for Greece and ERC grantee, but also assistant professor in National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, School of Medicine, and affiliated researcher at Biomedical Research Foundation of Academy of Athens. So she will present this new initiative that Samantha was referring to. Please, Themis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you, Samantha, for introducing me, and Evropi as well, and Professor Charmandaris for introducing ERC. I will share my presentation now, and I will try to explain you about the role of this new role, excuse me. Okay. Just give me a minute, please. Okay. So I will start my talk. I don't know if you can see my slides, because I see... Can you see my slides? Is it okay? Okay. So let me first of all talk a bit about ERC. My name is Themis Alissafi. I'm the newly appointed ERC ambassador to Greece. And today I'm here to give you some insights about this new and exciting role that we all have undertaken. First of all, ERC was established in 2007. This is a brief overview about the European ERC. ERC was established for the first time in 2007 as part of the 7th Framework Program for Research and Technological Development, FP7. This was the first pan-European funding body for frontier research. Its mission is to support investigator-driven frontier research in Europe. To accomplish this cause, the ERC is funding research across all disciplines, empowering researchers to push boundaries. ERC was established to protect and promote the scientific freedom. To do so, it has scientific excellence as its sole criterion. It provides support to the individual scientists, so there's no need for consortia. It has a bottom-up approach. This means that you can propose any scientific subjects you wish, since it has no predetermined subjects. And finally, proposals are internationally peer-reviewed in order to protect the research integrity and meritocracy. The success of ERC over the years is undeniable. Just look at this impressive figure since 2007. Over 14,000 top researchers were funded by the ERC since its creation. Over 220,000 articles were generated by ERC projects and published in peer-reviewed scientific journals. And impressively, 14 Nobel Prizes, 6 Field Medals, 11 Wolf Prizes, and other prizes were awarded to ERC grantees. Of course, for all this to happen, you need a great budget. In the last 20 years, ERC has secured a total of 36.5 billion users to help researchers. This budget increases in each framework, as you can see. In order to secure even greater funding for the next framework that is set to begin by the end of 2027, we need to lobby and advocate for the importance of fundamental research. And to assist in this accomplishment of this goal, the ERC and the Association of ERC Grantees have launched in April 2025 a new role that is called the Ambassadors for the ERC. This role is completely voluntary. 32 ERC grantees, as Samantha mentioned, have been selected and nominated as ambassadors for the ERC, and I was appointed ERC ambassador to Greece. Our role is to advocate for the importance of fundamental research in Europe. We need to remind everyone that funding frontier research is not optional. It is essential for Europe's long-term health and prosperity. The ambassadors represent the ERC at national and local level. They serve as a bridge between ERC and Greek research community. We will be working along with ERC national contact points to disseminate information on opportunities and calls. Furthermore, our role is to promote ERC's mission and visibility, and importantly, to engage with policymakers to secure additional funding for fundamental research. So we are joining our forces to amplify research voices, to support researchers in assessing ERC opportunities. We wish to encourage young and established researchers from all the fields to participate in ERC funding and highlight the success stories from Greece, ensuring in parallel that diverse voices are heard. However, there are several challenges we need to overcome, especially in Greece. Our country, unfortunately, has one of the lowest success rates in ERC grants across Europe. Just look at our percentages. There are approximately 5% success rate we have. Another important challenge is the limited awareness among Greece's research society. The competition, especially the recent years, is very high. And of course, we need to face the brain drain from which Greece suffers following the economic crisis and COVID pandemic. But let us not be optimistic. There are also great opportunities that we can take advantage of. First of all, the growing talent pool of the Greek researchers. We also have a strong diaspora that can really assist us in our efforts, and we can take advantage of the strong EU collaboration among researchers. In these efforts, ambassadors may serve as the catalyst for changing the Greek research landscape by raising Greece's profile in European research, increasing our applications and success rates, building stronger connections with the ERC, and overall contributing to innovation and excellence. My future vision towards this direction is, first of all, to connect with you, the researchers. To succeed in this, we will be organizing workshops and info sessions. We will engage with universities and research institutes. We will provide one-to-one mentoring and advice to future candidates. All the above will help us build an informed and confident applicant community. On the other hand, we will be engaging with stakeholders, utilizing digital tools and platforms for communication, securing stronger links between research, society, and policy. To finish my talk, as a take-home message, I want you to remember that together we can amplify research voices for a stronger future. And fundamental research is very important, and we must enhance Greece's position in this in Europe. You can contact me via email or my LinkedIn, or you can use these useful URLs for ERC and the Association of the ERC Grantees. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Themis. This is a great initiative, and I wish the best for this effort. Before we go to the next presentation, I would like to invite you to answer to our questions in the Slido. It is in the chat box, but also you can write down your questions in the chat box if you have any questions. So I would like to invite now the research program expert from RCEA, Anagnostou, to present us the ERC Grants general overview, but also the novelties of the new work program 2026. Dia, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Just a minute to upload my presentation. Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'm Anagnostou. Well, thank you first. I would also like to thank on my part the network Praxis for organizing this webinar today. My name is Anagnostou, and as you see, I'm a research program expert at the ESC, and I'm seconded from Pantheon University in Athens, where I am an associate professor there. So I am also a member of the Greek academic community, and very much share in their dreams and their concerns. So I will talk to you today. This is an overview of my presentation today. I'll give you a general outline of the ERC grants. We'll look at submission and the evaluation process, including the new aspects of the 2026 program. Then I will give you some tips and hints for preparing your proposal. And finally, I will finish this presentation by looking at Greece and looking some figures of how Greece has performed at the ERC. So you've seen this already. The ERC mission, you know that the ERC funds bottom-up research, frontier research, cutting-edge research with not predetermined priorities, and its aim is to support individual investigators to pursue this type of research in all fields based on scientific excellence. Here you see that the ERC's part is one of the 3 pillars of Horizon Europe, which is the current framework program that's running since 2021 and will end in 2027. You see in Pillar 1, which is about excellent science, the European Research Council is there. And well, the other 2 pillars, you can see them. I'm not going to talk about these, of course. So I think Professor Themis Alissafi already mentioned that the ERC has 16 billion euro budget in the current framework program, which represents it's a sizable part of the entire Horizon Europe budget. It's 17%. So the ERC is governed by its scientific council, a group of eminent scholars from all scientific disciplines, 22 in total. You can go to our website and you can look who is currently in the scientific council, which, as I said, is the governing body. So that's one limb of the ERC. The other one is its executive agency, which is what the EA, the last 2 letters, stand for, the ERC executive agency, which implements the strategy that is decided by the scientific council. So implementing it, meaning it manages the operations, the peer review evaluations, the panel meetings, follows up on projects funded, and it also carries out all the communication and dissemination activities with its stakeholders. Now, why should one apply for an ERC grant? I have a few answers. I'm sure you have thought of these, of some of these answers. You can, if you're a researcher, a scientist, an academic, you can choose. You can work on a topic of your own choice by setting up a team with an ERC grant. You can have substantial financial autonomy for up to 5 years. And you can, from this position, you can negotiate with your host institution for better conditions of work. Also, with an ERC, you can work with with promising scientists from around the world, not only from the EU, where you can employ them as collaborators in an ERC funded project. You also have a lot of freedom with an ERC grant. You can pretty much take it anywhere within the EU or associated countries if you wish. And this is the principle of portability of the ERC grants. In a nutshell, having an ERC grant can give you lots of independence, a lot of flexibility, and of course, a lot of visibility in your respective field of research and study. I won't go through this. Professor Alissafi has already shown this slide with various figures showing why the ERC has rightly gained this place of prominence in the research landscape in Europe. So here we come to the grants, the ERC grant schemes. And you can see there are 4 main grants plus the proof of concept. So starting grant, consolidator grant, advanced grants, these are all individual grants. They are targeting researchers in different stages of their career. The starting grants are target young scholars who are between 2 and 7 years after the PhD. And here I have highlighted because this is for 2026. In 2027, this will change, and I will talk about this later. So these highlighted eligibility years are just for 2026. I mean, up until now, including 2026. Okay, consolidator grants for between 7 and 12 years after the PhD, and you can request up to 2 million. Plus additional funding. I'll talk about additional funding in a bit. Finally, advanced grants. There is no eligibility window in this sense. Anyone can apply for an advanced grant. You don't even need to have a PhD to apply for an advanced grant. But an applicant has to have a track record of significant research achievements. And here the funding can be up to 2.5 million plus additional funding. Then you have the synergy grants, which are collaborative and interdisciplinary projects, large projects comprising between 2 and 4 principal investigators who can request up to 10 million euro for 6 years. Last but not least is the proof of concept, which is it stands alone. It targets researchers who are already ERC grantees and they can use this funding. They can apply and use this funding to bridge the gap between the research that they have done and between developing an innovative output and marketable output, at least at the early stages of it. Okay, I mentioned additional funding. The work program, as you may know, applicants can request additional funding over and above the standard grant, the standard grants, which I showed in my previous slide. This remains the case in 2026. And in fact, this additional funding can be requested to cover any kind of eligible costs. Up until now, additional funding could be requested only for specific categories of expenses, but from 2026, it can be requested for everything, for anything, if needed, of course, if the standard grant is not sufficient, and even for personnel costs. This additional funding is up to 1 million for applicants based in an EU member state or an associated country. But applicants who are relocating to the EU or to an associated country from outside, let's say the US or from Australia, they can request up to 2 million, so twice as much. Now, this is just your information for now. There is a new funding instrument that is currently being under preparation, the ERC Plus. You may have heard of it. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced it as part of the Choose Europe for Science initiative. It will provide funding for up to 7 million for up to 7 years, and the details are currently being worked out at the ERC. This funding instrument will be included in the amended version of the ERC 2026 work program that is expected to be adopted at the end of this year, at the end of 2025. You can find information about this in the link here, but there is not a whole lot at this point yet. Okay, let's go to the second part, submission and evaluation process and new elements in 2026. Well, you've seen this, Professor Themis Alissafi already mentioned, evaluation and criterion and process. evaluation criterion is only one, and that's excellence. So excellence, two things, excellence in two senses, for the research project and for the principal investigator. For the research project, you've heard these before. What this means? Excellence means a project that is groundbreaking, that is pushing the frontiers of knowledge in a scientific field. Also, a project that is ambitious. It's not about incremental research or synthesizing existing knowledge, but it's ambition. It has a bigger goal and vision. And thirdly, feasibility of the research project. So it ambitious, groundbreaking, but also you have to show that it is feasible and it can be done. As regards the principal investigator, what is evaluated is the intellectual capacity, the creativity, and the commitment of the applicant. Now, these are very important, of course, because when you write your application, you have to focus on these. These are the things that evaluators will be looking at. So here, just to say that the focus is on the evaluations on the research project, and less on the principal investigator. But the principal investigator is also assessed. The excellence of the principal investigator is also assessed. Here you see how the evaluation, the two steps of the evaluation process. So talking about starting, consolidator, and advanced. I'm leaving aside the synergy. I won't talk very much about synergy. Synergy is a little bit different. It has 3 steps. But starting, consolidator, and advanced it's a single submission, but 2-step evaluation. Step 1, there is a remote assessment by panel members who read part 1 of your proposal, plus the CV and the track record. Then they get together into panel meetings, they discuss, and they make their decision about the candidates whose proposal is rejected with a score of B and C. And then at the end of this step, these applicants will receive feedback. And they also select those proposals and candidates who will pass to step 2, and they will be invited for an interview. Here, bear in mind that, or I'd like to remember that proposals that are retained for step 2 can be no more than 44 per panel. And there is a practical reason behind this. So let's say if a panel has more excellent proposals, but they cannot pass to step 2 because only 44 can pass to step 2, those other excellent proposals will receive the score of A, non-invited. And so they won't be invited for an interview, these applicants, but with an A non-invited, they will be able to reapply the following year. So they will not be subject to resubmission restrictions. Step 2, remote assessment by panel members again, and remote reviewers in this phase, who read the entire proposal. So part 1, part 2, CV and track record. They meet in panel meetings where they hold interviews. Interviews are held online, and then this step ends with the selection of the proposals and the applicants who will be funded. And those who will not receive funding, they receive a score B, but they will be able to reapply the following year. And of course, at the end of step 2, applicants receive detailed feedback, all those applicants who made it to step 2. Let's see some of the changes in the ERC work program. First of all, a very important change in the template of the grant application. So we have, up to now, we had part B1, part B2. Now it's part 1, part 2, and it's not just the name, but it's also the logic of this new format. So part 1 is up to 5 pages, like it has been until now, and part 2 will be shorter. It will be up to 7 pages for starting, consolidator, and advanced, and up to 10 pages for synergy. The panels will use part 1 in step 1, as I already mentioned, and they will read both part 1 and part 2 at step 2. Now let's see what's in part 1 and what is in part 2. References are not included in these page limits, so they do not count towards this limit. So in this part, in part 1, this 5-pager, which is very important, of course, because this is going to make the difference whether you are selected or not for the step 2 evaluation. What you part 1 must show is why your proposal is original, why it addresses an important question in your respective scientific field, and how the project that you propose to implement will advance the frontier of knowledge. So it has to be very convincing in this respect. So what you do in this part, you have to lay out the current state of knowledge, to explain the scientific questions, and very important, to explain the objectives of the project. And in this part, you should also present the overall approach or the overall research strategy of how you will reach the project goals. But this will be an overall presentation at this first part. So one important change here is that in part 1, you no longer talk about the feasibility of the scientific approach. Up until 2025, feasibility had to be addressed in part 1, but now you leave it for part 2. And you only stay to focus on these 3 aspects in part 1. Part 2 of the scientific proposal is maximum to 7 pages, which must include a detailed explanation of the project implementation, how you will implement it, what is your research methodology, how you plan to work over the course of the 5 years, or how many years you propose. Also, if there are, you have to discuss any risks that may occur, and how you will address these risks. And of course, you have to justify the budget that you request and the resources. So it's very important to think of part 1 and part 2 as complementary. They should not repeat each other at all, and they should be 2 pieces of one whole. Okay, eligibility periods, changes in eligibility periods for starting grant and COG. These enter into force from 2027. So what is changing with eligibility periods are the years after the PhD. So the starting grant from 2027, starting grant, applicants can apply for a starting grant, applicants who have just received their PhD, so immediately after their PhD, and up to 10 years after the PhD. Those applicants who wish to apply for a consolidator grant must be between 5 and 15 years after the PhD. And of course, what you notice here is that there is an overlap. So between years 5 and 10 after the PhD, a researcher, a scientist can apply, can go either for a starting grant or for a COG. They have to decide and consider what is more appropriate depending on how their career, their academic career has developed, and the logic for this overlapping is to give flexibility, because research careers have very different trajectories depending on whether you look at mathematics, engineering, or economics and sociology. Okay, here you see the 2026 calendar, but you can also look at this on our website, on the ERC website, and on the work program. Tips and hints for preparing your proposal. So before you start, very important is to start with the idea. We say this over and over again. It's the original idea that can give birth to a compelling and competitive ERC project. So if you do have such an idea, start developing it. Do your literature review. Discuss this idea with your trusted peers and mentors. Test it. See whether it is as original as you thought. If you are convinced that it is an innovative and potentially groundbreaking, then that's another element to go for, to persuade you to go for an ERC grant. Are you passionate about your idea and eager to demonstrate that it works? If the answer here is also yes, then you are at a good starting point for an ERC grant. As you start, get all the information that you need early on. So register early, get familiar with the funding and tenders portal if you're not familiar or already, and download all the templates that you need for the application parts, all the documents that you need, very important information for applicants, work program. There is a list of frequently asked questions that answer many things that you would like to know. Of course, very important to talk to your university's grant office or to the research institute with which you are affiliated. Very important to get their support, to get a host institution letter of the institution which will be hosting your grant if it is approved. And check with the NCP for any events that they organize, like the one that we have today. Also, it's good to talk to ERC grantees, former panel members, not current panel members. It is not allowed, of course, but you can talk to former panel members. They can always give you good advice. And you can ask the ERC call coordinators. I work at the call coordination unit, and we receive a lot of queries and we answer each and every one with great care and detail. Also very important to get the written consent of your other collaborators, your team members and researchers whom you have named in the proposal. And it's important to get that before the submission deadline. But this can only needs to be a simple email exchange, not formal letters. You only need a formal host institution letter of support. Choose the grant type and then make sure that you are eligible. So for 2026, remember, we're not yet in 2027. We're still in 2026. So for 2026, if you want to go for a starting grant, you must have received your PhD between 1st of January 2019 and 31st of December 2023 inclusive. For a consolidator grant, you must have received your PhD between 1st of January 2014 and 31st December 2018. Please note, the reference date shall be the certified date of the successful defense of the first PhD degree. Okay, so it's very important because it must be the date of your defense, not the date in which the PhD was awarded, and often PhD degrees have that date on them. Check resubmission restrictions if you have applied before. You know, if you've gotten a B or a C, with a B you can't apply the next year. With a C, you can't apply for the following 2 years. Also remember that a researcher must spend at least 50% of their time in an EU member state. I mean, a principal investigator of an ERC grant must spend at least 50% of their working time in an EU member or associated country, and a minimum amount of their working time on the ERC project, which is 50% for starting grant, 40% for consolidator, and 30% for advanced and synergy. Starting and consolidator proposers, applicants, can also get an extension of the eligibility window for these reasons that you see here. And they must, of course, request it with the necessary documents. So for maternity leave, paternity or parental leave, for long-term illness, including of a close family member, also for time spent on clinical training, for also if they have experienced a major disaster that affected their research career, for seeking asylum, and the latest reason for requesting extension of eligibilities for gender-based violence or any other form of violence. Okay, so very important, choosing panels. Applicants for an ERC grant must choose a review panel when they submit their proposal. You can see the panel structure in Annex 1 of the 2026 work program. It's also on the ERC website. How do you choose? You have to look at the keywords. We have keywords for each panel, so keywords that match the proposed project. You can also check the panel members of previous calls of a particular panel, see their expertise. It's very important to keep in mind that the ERC panel structure is meant to provide guidance. It's not meant to be an exhaustive mapping of a scientific field. And also it is important to remember that panel titles, subtitles, and descriptors do not reflect priorities of the ERC. I've already mentioned that there are no thematic priorities. So any topic, you can propose a project on any topic, even if it's not mentioned in the panel structure, in the current panel structure. Secondly, you can flag a secondary review panel, and you have to explain this in part 1 of your proposal. Usually, if your project falls between 2 panels or has an interdisciplinary component that needs to be assessed by experts in different scientific fields. A common misconception that we encounter is that that applicants should choose the panel strategically in order to increase the chances of success. Far from the truth. Okay, the budget is distributed evenly among the scientific panels, and it is as a function of demand. So, and the logic for this is that panels have more or less equal success rates. at the end. So the clear advice is choose the panel that is best placed with the most appropriate experts to do to evaluate accurately what you propose to research, rather than think strategically. Here is the panel structure. I won't go through it. You can take your time and look at this later in all the 3 scientific domains. Here is just an overview of proposal parts. So you have part 1, the administrative forms, which have to be filled in online and submitted online. Everything has to be submitted online. Part B1, which is submitted as single PDF. Part B2, and then you have the annexes. Most importantly, the letter of support of the host institution and a copy of your PhD or equivalent if you are a starting grant or consolidator grant applicant. You see the green highlights here. These are the parts of your proposal that are seen by the panel, the evaluation panel that will assess your proposal. Curriculum vitae and track record template, just briefly to say a few things here, just to remind you of what changed in 2024. So the curriculum vitae is merged with the track record, and it has 3 parts: personal details of the applicant. Secondly, in the second part on research achievements and peer recognition, applicants must provide a short and factual narrative of their achievements and peer recognitions that are, of course, related to the research field and ideally to the proposed project. So they have to present 10 outputs that are their research achievements. They can be publications, but they don't necessarily have to be publications. The emphasis has to be on the recent achievements. They can also describe here peer recognition, such as prizes or awards. So in the third part of this section, applicants have the opportunity to provide additional information on their research career and also to provide some context of their professional career up to that point. So you can, for example, you can explain here if you have taken career breaks for whatever reasons, or if your career path was not the, let's say, the conventional one for other reasons, or if there were life events that influenced your career up to that point. Also, they can talk about other noteworthy contributions to the research community. This third part is not evaluated, but it is very important because it can provide some context for when evaluators look at, assess your research achievements. Very important here, mobility, your mobility, past mobility, or grants that you may have received, or supervision and mentoring of PhD students are not evaluated since 2024. Also, journal impact factor metrics are no longer relevant. So the objectives of the proposed project, you see here a visual depiction between objectives that might look shallow, blurred, unsound, unworkable, and that's to the left, whereas to the right, objectives can be formulated and can be deep, focused, credible, and feasible. And in this case, they are much more likely to attract the attention of the reviewers. Typical reasons for not making making it to step 2. And these are not the only reasons, of course, but just to mention a few. The objectives that are not sufficiently clear, as I showed in the previous slide, or the hypothesis is not clear and thus not convincing, does not come across what you want to do, what you want to do. Another reason is because the project that you propose is incremental in nature, so it doesn't have this ambitious and groundbreaking quality that is the hallmark of successful ERC projects. Another reason is that you don't talk about risks and about contingency plans that your research project may need to have. Well, sometimes it can also not make it because it appears overly ambitious. So and it misses and it doesn't show its feasibility. So another reason may be if your project is interdisciplinary, but the expertise may be missing in one of the areas that are in which your project falls. So just to conclude this section, including myself, like I said, I've been a member of the academic community. It's intimidating when you think of applying for an ERC grant. Don't exclude yourself, though. If you have an idea that you're very excited about, you have a strong sense that it's promising and it can lead to a groundbreaking project and to make a significant impact in your field of research, go for it. Take the risks. All frontier research has risks, but explain your project. Explain why you think it can have a high scientific impact, and provide evidence that you can do it. So that's also important. Not necessary, but it's good if you have some evidence to show that my project, I have some signs that this can work. For example, writing a proposal is hard, even though the pages are not many of part 1 and part B2. In order to be a competitive proposal, you must devote plenty of time to it and write and revise. We would advise not to work right up to the deadline, but to leave also time to do this revision work on a proposal. You can always submit a new version. You can submit an early proposal and then overwrite it with the final one up until the deadline of the call. Test your proposal with peers, mentors. I already mentioned this. That your peers and mentors can be valuable informal contributors to a project when you have discussed it extensively. And if you fail, try again. You gain experience from the evaluation. You gain also very constructive comments from an evaluation. From the panel feedback, and resubmissions have a higher success rate. We see this every year. So this is just a quote from an ERC grantee, which basically says what I just told you. And here, my colleague, ERC colleague earlier mentioned, there's lots of information and lots of resources on our website, classes. You can look at the ERC website and find videos for just about everything you need. And I hope I'm not running out of time. I need 5 more minutes, but just let me know I'm too much over my time.
Dia, don't worry. Just briefly explain us some statistics, and we are okay.
Yeah, I just need 5 minutes, not more, for this part. So how is Greece doing? It was already mentioned earlier. Yes, Greece has a relatively low success rate, but look at the dates here. This is 2007, 2022. We see that Greece had a 4% success rate in the ERC grants for the first 14 years of the ERC existence. Here we have, though, success rate for the years 2021, 2024. These are success rates based on host institution country, okay? And we see some improvement here. You'll see there Greece, where I have the red arrow. The success rate these years of Greece is 7.8%. So some improvement, of course, much lower than the average success rate for all EU countries, which is 13.5%. Here we see Greek nationals in Greece. Actually, no, here we have we see that most of the grants that Greek nationals have received are starting grants and consolidator, but fewer advanced grants. Women, 28% of the Greek PIs of ERC grants are women. Here, as of 1st of October 2025, Greece had host institutions in Greece had signed 48 advanced grant, COG and starting grants and synergy. So this was under Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe, and they had already signed 17 POC, proof of concept grants. Here you see the host institutions in Greece that have hosted ERC grants. Clearly what stands out here is the Ίδρυμα Τεχνολογίας και Έρευνας in Greece that has hosted 22 main grants plus the 6 proof of concepts. So nearly half of all projects signed with Greek host institutions were with the Ίδρυμα Τεχνολογίας και Έρευνας. Here, this is an interesting slide, and I think it's the last one I have, but I would like to, well, the penultimate one actually, but the last one for Greece. The Greek nationals have received, this is Greek nationals, so not Greek host institutions, but Greek researchers have received a total of 193 ERC grants, including proof of concept. So 160 main grants plus 33 proof of concept. What is striking here in this slide, though, is that 134 out of the 193 ERC grants received by Greek scholars were by Greek scholars abroad. So 7 out of 10 ERC grants received by Greek scholars were outside of Greece. And this is interesting, you know, with these discussions that we have in Greece about the brain drain and also a strong diaspora of Greek academics and scientists abroad, which this clearly attests to this. So if you see here, you'll see that most Greeks who have received ERC grants are in Germany, the UK, and France and the Netherlands, and somewhat fewer in Switzerland, Cyprus, and Spain. So, this is the last slide that I have, which is, of course, you know that Greece is part of that group of countries that are underrepresented in research and in innovation framework program. That is this the goal here is to widen European participation. That's why Greece, together with other countries, are part of this group, which usually applicants from these widening countries apply or reapply less frequently, and they're less successful in getting ERC grants. However, bear in mind that proposals that pass to step 2 do as well as any other, proposals from host institutions in these widening countries. Usually they often fail in step 1. And they do so because the proposal is not as good. There is no difference in CVs, so no difference in the excellence of the applicants. These countries, including Greece, they have lower national investment into R&I than the EU average, and often poor support by granting offices, and sometimes by national contact points. And they are also less exposed to international research and innovation networks. And of course, they are characterized by poorer research facilities and conditions, overall lower salaries, equipment, and other things. It's very important. National support structures are very important. We have examples like the example of Austria. When they are developed, when they are upgraded, these national support structures, the number of submissions and of successful applications can strikingly increase. So here I come to the end. Thank you very much for your attention. Apologies for the 40-minute, I think, maybe a 45-minute presentation, and I would be happy to answer your questions if they haven't already been answered. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dia. Your presentation was to the point and very useful as a tool for the 2026 applicants. I think that if they appropriately implement our participants your guidance, they will be some steps closer to success. So thank you very much. Now I would like to present Dr. Tassos Gaitanis. He's our General Secretary in the Ministry of Development. Actually, it's the ministry that coordinates and overviews the NCBs in Greece. So now he's here with us for a short welcome. And also he's working in the Biomedical Research Foundation Academy. Mr. Gaitanis, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, distinguished participants and ERC grantees, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is great honor and pleasure to welcome you at this important gathering on ERC funding opportunities for excellent researchers in Greece. Allow me to begin with expressing my sincere appreciation to the organizers for bringing us together at a time when European research excellence is becoming a central focus of policy and investment. In recent years, Greece has made notable progress in European research and innovation programs. According to the recently published interim evaluation for Horizon Europe, Greece is in the 7th place among the 27 member states, both on the basis of participation and on the basis of funding, with Greek groups attracting 1.7 billion euros so far. In the framework of the European Research Council, even though our performance is not as successful as to the whole framework program, we have also seen some outstanding examples. This year, Greek researchers have once again earned ERC starting grants. In September 2025, for example, Dr. Dalabekos of Aristotle University of Thessaloniki was awarded a starting grant. Greece was also represented in the ERC Advanced Grants of 2024 with Dr. Olga Karagiorgou of the Academy of Athens among the recipients. Greek researchers have further benefited from ERC proof of concept grants, which help transform frontier research into early innovation. These achievements show that Greece possesses exceptional scientific talent, creativity, and ambition. At the same time, they remind us that we must intensify our efforts if we wish to fully realize our potential, especially now that Europe is moving towards an even stronger framework for supporting research excellence. At the General Secretariat for Research and Innovation, in close cooperation with the National Documentation Center, we're developing a new mentoring platform for young Greek scientists who wish to apply for ERC grants. This initiative aims to provide personalized guidance and practical support to promising researchers during the preparation of their proposals. We will share more details very soon, and we are confident that this effort will strengthen Greece's presence and success in the ERC programs. The European Union, for its part, continues to reinforce its commitment to scientific excellence. The ERC has recently increased its startup funding, offering up to 2 million euros for researchers who relocate to Europe under certain ERC advanced grants calls, supporting the establishment of new labs and research centers. At the same time, new and larger long-term super grants are being prepared, designed to further enhance support for frontier research across Europe. Under Horizon Europe, the research and innovation budget also continued to rise with 7.3 billion euros allocated in 2025 to support research careers and competitiveness in key areas such as the green, digital, and social transitions. These developments send a clear message. Europe is investing in excellence. The only selection criterion is scientific quality. The goal is to strengthen Europe's position in global research, to attract and retain the best scientists, and to ensure that breakthrough discoveries remain in the EU and deliver real benefits for society. For Greece, this means that we must continue to raise our ambitions. Excellence requires not only outstanding individual proposals, but also strong research environments, modern infrastructure, stable funding, and effective support systems that help researchers grow, collaborate internationally, and translate knowledge into impact. We must work harder towards a paradigm change to reduce bureaucracy, improve proposal support, as I said before, encourage mobility, ensure that our institutions are ready to promote interdisciplinary cooperation to host world-class projects. I firmly believe that Greece can achieve even more. We have all the essential ingredients: dedicated researchers, strong universities and research centers, very competitive participation in Horizon Europe, and clear examples of success in ERC projects. Let us build on these foundations. Let us commit as a united research community, scientists, institutions, and policymakers, of course, alike to aim higher, to prepare stronger proposals, to collaborate more effectively, and to invest more strategically in our future. In conclusion, I would like to express my confidence that as Europe expands support for research excellence, Greece can and will claim the position it deserves. The opportunities are before us. Let us seize them together. At this point, let me thank the Praxi Network and ERCA for organizing this event, and all the distinguished speakers for sharing their experience with us. I wish you every success in your applications, your discussions, and in advancing frontier research, both in our country and across Europe. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haitanis. Thank you for being here. Now, I will go on with a short presentation of both Praxi Network, our office, but also our NCP services. So our ERC NCP team in Praxi Network in the last couple of years, we have a specific way of working. We introduced a more dynamic and proactive appearance in support to the Greek researchers, but the ERC NCPs are working in Praxi since the beginning of the ERC. Firstly, I would like you to ask some questions. If you since you have been participating in this webinar, what firstly come to your mind when you think of ERC? It's funding, excellence, or opportunities, and how the NCPs can offer this offer help to you. So this is the group. The national contact points, if you don't know our role, we work as ambassadors in the framework program. So we act between the applicants and the European Commission, ensuring equal access to information, tailored assistance, but also connection to the European international networks. NCPs are the official national structure support for the ERC, but also for the whole Horizon Europe framework program. And you can see here our team by 3X researchers. We are a cross-disciplinary team based on our research, and we are ready to inform, guide, and advise researchers, but also innovators for funding opportunities, rules, and procedures. Okay. Which is our daily job. So since 2022, we have established this methodology. We are following since then towards this specific goal that we are speaking before. Also, we raise the number, we try to raise the number, but also the quality of Greek PI proposals. This can give an answer to the question why the success rate is so low. DIA have analytically explained some reasons, but also you can find out in this presentation some other. So we directed by first come, first served basis. If you want to acquire a full package of services by us, we advise you to come to us 1 year before the submission of your proposal. In this way, you will have the appropriate time, we will have the appropriate time to guide and support you, but also you can develop your proposal better and your idea. If you come to a ready idea, normally we start with a one-to-one consultation, a meeting. Firstly, we have the pre-proposal phase in which we make the eligibility check, for example, possible resubmission, extensions, etc. And then we guide you during the structure of your proposal, your planning, budget, but also how to present yourself in the CV and your research. During this stage, 1 or 2 NCPs are reviewing your proposal in total confidentiality, using specific barriers to secure your idea. Even if we are not the experts on your proposal, of course, you are the expert. We read your idea from an NCP spectrum, as I can say, which may be closer to a reviewer's view as a generalist. So the first question that we ask as NCPs, is this an ERC idea offering this excellence and this groundbreaking view? In this stage, if you agree, you may be connected by us by other grantees who can review your proposal. And of course, we make the final review before the submission. If you pass to the second stage, we can support you how to structure your presentation, but also how you can practice your communication skills and support your idea. In the stage of interview, we make actually mock interviews, and we act as very strict reviewers, and oftenly we invite, if you would like, we get in touch with other grantees relevant to this research. If your proposal is selected, you can also offer some help from us for the project implementation inquiries, but also for networking and future funding opportunities after your grant ends. Also, if you are interested, we can advise you as technology transfer consultants, because we have this section in our office to utilize your research results. So, is it true that NCPs may mainly answer to questions and just offer some basic advice? As you can see here in our numbers, since December 2022, The questions are a very big number, but also you can see the other services that we offer. Our team is trying to make this difference. We are trying to keep our role relevant to 2025 and the years after. So we try the NCP job matter more than a chatbot. This is why we passionately advertise these free services like the proposal pre-screening, the one-to-one meetings, and the interview preparation. And we try as multipliers of the ERC culture by spreading best practices, coaching, and support and ecosystem growth. Based on that, we actively participate in an upcoming project, as it was referred before. It's called Mercury. This is actually a consortium of an NCP, a network of ERC NCPs all over Europe and abroad, working together to offer free tools and services to the ERC applicants. And we focus more, this is important, in widening countries in low participating countries like Greece. We participate in this project in order to be evolved, but also to share and learn with other NCPs. In this project, we work as work package leaders to help the NCPs to these activities due to our long-lasting expertise with the NCP community. But we also lead some activities that they are very valuable for you, I think. If you are not in a grantee, you will be able to use the NCP toolbox when it is ready as a set of guidelines of questions and challenges and guidelines to the evaluation and the application, but also some workshops divided to specific grants and specific domains. We will have these. A lot of these, most of these are online, will be online, so you can participate. And if you are a grantee, you will have the ability to participate in workshops as follow-up opportunities to support the grantees after the end of their project. As Mr. Gaitanis was referred to the stories of success in Greece, we can say a few words. You have already been informed from the previous presentation that the statistics in Greece are very discouraged numbers of success rate, a very low number of grants. But beyond the numbers, there's always a story to tell. So which is the story beyond the Greek ERC success story? As you can see here, Ms. Karagiorgou and Ms. Kalfa. You can see this from the previous year, it's 2024. So Dr. Karagiorgou, who started with us more than 1 year before the deadline of her call, to think and write about her idea, participate in our events, and we have various one-to-one meetings, many interviews. And after 3 mock interviews also in the second stage, she was nominated with the grant. Also, Dr. Kalfa has contacted with us 1 year before. And overall, in the last a couple of years, we are trying to investigate how we can help more and be more impactful and have more success stories. We have found 2 more rumors additionally to this presentation and the reasons behind. So one rumor is the time, as I explained. Some believe that ERC applications can be written in 1 month, like in the pillar 2. This is totally. I think it is a maybe, but you finding a groundbreaking idea in 1 month, maybe it's highly unlikely. So please start your idea and ask your NCP as soon as possible. The second rumor is the content, that ERC is not for me. So they have they have some barriers. So some excellent researchers that I know have barriers that it is too difficult to acquire. It is not worth the time. You should have if you have a groundbreaking idea, you will have a great possibility to succeed in the ERC. Since if you have a groundbreaking idea, it may not fit in any other policy-oriented calls in Horizon Europe, like in Pillar 2. And one additional success story, of course, Mr. Darbekos. We are very happy that we found him 4 days. I mean, he found us 4 days before the interview stage, and we actually have one mock interview. So it is, even if you didn't have enough time before, 1 year, as I say, maybe you can ask us to offer you what we can in limited time. So thank you very much. I think I hope you found interesting opportunities and get back to us. And the main message that I want you to remember is that you should ask your NCP. So thank you. And now we can go a step further with the NCP services to the services of Praxi network. Mr. Vavekis, our head of technical operation. Mr. Vavekis, the floor is yours. You can open your microphone. We can see the presentation.
First of all, I would like to thank you. I am going very, very briefly to present you what is Praxi Network, what we are doing. And this, of course, is in connection with our actions as national contact points for Horizon Europe. So we are an established unit of 4, and we are focusing mainly in the promotion of innovation. We are supporting both industry and research organizations and universities. And our mission is to connect research with industry, to support researchers and businesses in order to find and to exploit more their research results, their innovative ideas, and of course to find collaborations and funding. We are in 7 cities in Greece, and I would like here to show that Praxi Network connects innovative SMEs through different projects, for example, from Smart Health projects, Enterprise Europe Network for funding for ESG trainers, with university and research organizations, through technology transfer offices, through IP management, through also transferring the outcome of the research for commercialization to companies, and also we are connecting with society and the government and the local government. Our 3 main pillars of actions are coordination of actions that support innovative SMEs, national contact points for several thematics, and also we are the technology transfer office of 4, but we are also helping other technology transfer offices of universities and research organizations to get established and to have better results. And this is now, it was in the past through the GNOS network, now through Petris network. And a few things, we are, as NCP, we are participating in different networks, in different European projects. And with a few words, I would like to mention what Europe has already said. We provide general information about the program. We try to find how we can find funding for an idea, and we want to support the commercialization of the research results. And so we support the participants during the proposal preparation. We try to find appropriate calls in all areas of Horizon, not only for ERC. We are trying to find them suitable partners. Of course, we know that researchers know the best in their fields, so the best researchers in their fields, but we can find them, we can help them find partners that they are with complementary skills, that they are very useful for proposal. And of course, we organize international events like this one, to promote the programs and with relevant thematic areas. We manage intellectual property and we help organizations how to manage intellectual property. And of course, we provide financial and legal advices for specific programs. Some statistics, we are more than 20 years as a national contact point. Now we are in 14 thematic areas. We are in major national contact points in major thematics with a lot of national interest, like ERC, EIC, and widening programs. We offer services like consulting, proposal pre-screening, and network. For example, we have pre-screened of over 20 proposals annually, and we respond to more than 700 inquiries on topics of significant national interest. I don't want to go further because, as far as I know, we don't have plenty of time. So our focus is to support researchers and companies for Horizon programs in order to get funding, find collaborations, and to commercialize the research outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vavekis, for the presentation of Praxi. So now we will go to the following session. We will go to the questions. I will give the floor to Christina Chimonidi, my colleague, to moderate this session.
Thank you, Evropi, and thank you all for the questions you already submitted. Now let's start with the first question that we have, the actual first question we have on the Q&A. Hello and thank you for this webinar. I would like to ask, what is the specialty level of a PI for the starting grant? Also, how is it measured? Is it from the publication? Is it a balance? Is it a balance? Dia, I think this question is for you, right?
Yes. Yes, of course, for a starting grantee, an applicant for a starting grant, even with a 2026 eligibility window, so that's 3 years after the PhD. Of course, the expectation is not that they have a huge scholarly work behind them. I think for the starting grant, I'll answer this question more broadly for COG as well as and for advanced, because what is important here to keep in mind is that 2024 changes in the assessment and how the ERC assesses. So the question, what are the criteria of evaluation? There are not specific criteria anymore. If you remember, in the past, the ERC used to have prescriptive profiles of applicants. For example, asking for a certain number of publications, a monograph. This is no longer the case. It gives the new assessment system gives more room for flexibility and recognition of diverse scientific achievements. And I'll stress two things here, I think, to get to the question. First of all, whether it's a starting grant proposer or COG or advanced, they have to describe their research achievements. And here we don't only talk about publications, but also they can be patents, they can be preprints, they can be essays, they can be data sets, books. So you have it's a more diverse. It has the possibility to provide a more diverse profile here. So first, this is very important, and secondly, the applicant must demonstrate the ability to carry out ambitious and challenging research. So the PI will primarily be assessed on this. And of course, if you have evidence of peer recognition, this can be very important. The assessment of the PI is now in a more holistic, more it's the way that the CV and track record is structured is meant to provide a more holistic and fuller and contextualized account of the excellence of the PI. So I cannot tell you that you need to have 2 publications or 5 or 10, because none of this is relevant anymore. you have to demonstrate that your achievements so far show that you can contribute to your scientific field and that you are able to carry out this ambitious research that you are proposing.
Thank you very much, Dia, for your reply. So let's now move to the next question. Why does Greece has a lower success rate when it comes to ERC grants? I think we answered that through your presentation. Let's move on. Can additional funding for startup costs include personnel costs, for example, personnel cost of a research officer to maintain equipment? Is something like this written in the work program?
Yes, from 2026 onwards, yes. So personnel costs can also be requested. From 2026 onwards, there are no categories, specific categories for which additional funding can be requested. As I mentioned, additional funding can be requested from 2026 onwards for anything, for everything.
Thank you very much. So the next question is from Maria Hadjiani. Just to double check what you mentioned earlier for the advanced grants, no PhD is required. Is this the same for the synergy grants, or could a PI be someone without a PhD?
So for the advanced grants, it is, yes, you don't need a PhD, but you have to be someone who has done research and has a track record and an excellent track record of research achievements, but not officially a PhD. I have to double check for synergy. I think it's the same answer. I'm pretty sure, but in order to that you do not need a PhD to be a PI in a synergy group. But I think 10% I have a bit of uncertainty just to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's also the case. You can always write to me and I can confirm this.
Perfect, thank you. So the next question says, if in step 1 we include evaluation of only part 1 and the CV, how can the excellence and the ambition of the proposal be the main criterion? I think.
So part 1 has to, the part 1 by stating the objectives and how the proposed project is going to advance the knowledge in your scientific field. I think this is that's the first step of evaluating excellence. Of course, you have the elements for evaluating at first the excellence. The excellence will also be evaluated in step 2, where you will have a far more detailed description of the project and its implementation, of course. But already from the goals and the how it will advance the scientific field, you can assess excellence. And of course, the excellence of the PI as well, because the evaluators in step 1 look at the CV and track record as well.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So moving on to the next question from Yorgos Kilafis. Thank you for your perfect presentation. I would like to ask if the panel members at step 1 consist of members of non-specialists, and they're asking to know because it is very crucial that the researcher to know how the story behind their idea should be communicated to a non-specialist panel at the very important level of the evaluation at part 1.
Yeah, it's a good question, and thank you for raising this. Indeed, step 1 evaluation is primarily the proposal. Part 1 of the proposal is read by generalists, by the panel members, who are generalists. So in this sense, yeah, this needs to be taken into account. Whereas in step 2, the proposal is additionally assessed by experts in the particular topic of the proposed project. Yes, this has to be taken into account without, of course, you are still speaking to you're presenting your project to scientists, to people who know more broadly the field, but they're not experts in the specific topic of your project in step 1.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So the next question from Mrs. Christina Papadaki. She asks for clarification. If a PhD thesis is written in a language other than English, is it acceptable to submit only the extended abstract in English?
For the PhD, you do not need to submit a PhD. I mean, you don't need to submit the full PhD. Of course, it can be in other languages other than English, and it often is of PIs who do their PhDs in different countries. It's in the national language. So you do not need to submit the full PhD as part of your proposal. No, even if you put it as we wouldn't advise it at all to put it as an annex, because evaluators do not see annexes; they will not read it. So, yeah, it's not necessary to.
Exactly. Perfect, thank you. The next question, I think that maybe we are more appropriate to answer instead of you, because it says, Mike Karabellas would like to ask how the Greek delegation, NCPs or ambassadors and Praxi network are planning to support brain drain, and are there any forthcoming actions or communication to support ERC applicants from abroad to apply in Greece? Here I would like to mention that we do a lot of actions during all year in different institutes, in different panels that we try to promote the ERC grants. And we are already in contact with a lot of expats that want to come back to Greece, and they are applying already for ERC grants in all different levels, in starting consolidator. And we are also supporting a lot the institute themselves that want to integrate the researchers in their institutes, and maybe they do not have the know-how yet. That's why we are in contact with the grant management support offices, and we are very happy that slowly we see a change, even from starting from the actual applications that are submitted from Greece, and hopefully from the successful proposals that will become projects. So now moving on to the next question, regarding the proposed research, Dia, should it be only for fundamental research, or it can end as a prototype or even a final product?
Well, it is for fundamental research, but of course it can lead to a product. If I mean, it depends. What do you mean by product? For example, if it is a marketable product, like I said, we have the proof of concept, which comes towards the end of an ERC of an ERC project, or right after the ERC project, where you can ask funding for to develop a product out of the scientific knowledge that has been produced with an ERC grant. So yes, the fundamental research is the primary goal of ERC funding.
And if I may add something here, if that's okay with you, that I think every grantee can apply 3 times for 3 different proof of concept grants during their grant. And of course, if they're successful and they have a proof of concept, then they are eligible for the EIC transition, that they can also have the research being towards commercialization. Because ERC, as you mentioned, is for fundamental research. So moving on to the next question from Alexandros Mavromatis. There are 3 different questions, actually. So the part 1 mentions to presenting the overall approach or research strategy to achieve the project goals. This seems to include a brief description of the methodology that will be used. However, You mentioned that such information should be left for panel 2. Which of the two approaches should be followed?
So yes, part one, in part one, you have to be general when it comes to describing how you will do it. It's more as a broad introduction, and you go into the specifics in part B2, in part 2 now, from 2026 onwards. So the description of the methodology, the detailed description and explanation of the research method that you will use, this should be in part 2. So the different logic, I mean, so this is new. The logic now is that these two parts, they click together. They are not, there is no repetition. There should not be any repetition between these two. But when you put the two together, they should read as one whole, as an integrated text. So you, in the part 1, you give a general idea, but you describe it into detail, the research methodology, in part 2.
Perfect, thank you. The second one says that the guideline mentions that documents such as a PhD certificate can be submitted in any official EU language. Is it true that we do not need an official translation issued for documents that are issued not in English? So I say yes, of course. And the third question from Mr. Mavromatis is that in the slide listing the reasons for not being successful, it mentions that there is no realization of the risk. However, the risk mitigation plan is included in part 2. So how can the reviewers assess this aspect when they're evaluating part 1?
They do not in part 1. So they do not assess risk, discussion of risks and mitigation strategies in part 1. They only assess it in part 2. So the logic of step 1 evaluation is to select those proposals that, because of their objectives and the contribution that they believe or demonstrate or show that they can do is promising. So they are selected, evaluators select them because they would like to invite those principal investigators for an interview where they can defend their project, they can ask questions. And of course, in step 2, they will read the full proposal. They will read also in more detail how this project will be implemented. So, and that's where the risks and the mitigation strategy will also come. But in step 1, that's not a consideration. In step 2, if there is that aspect is not well developed, then maybe the proposal will not be selected in step 2. But in step 1, they don't look at this aspect. They will look at the other things that I mentioned.
Thank you. So now let's take one more question and then we can go to a 10-minute break. And either if we have time in the end, we can continue with the next questions, or we can answer them, send them later after the webinar. So the last question for now is from Ms. Efrosini Vika. Can we please speak a little bit more about the advanced grants? Specifically, how can a researcher of 15+ years of experience be encouraged to apply when they will be competing with researchers of 30+ years of experience?
Yes, good question. I've been there. I've been there in that in between. Yes, and it is and a lot of sort of mid advanced scholars have this concern that if they go, they are beyond 15-20 years of their PhD, but they still feel a bit uncertain. They feel that they cannot compete with more advanced scholars. Well, if you go back to what I said, if you have an idea that you think is promising, it's original. And the more you talk about it, and the more you look at what has been researched on it, you are convinced that this can lead into something innovative. That's where that should be your main focus. Remember also that the emphasis of the evaluation is on the proposal itself and less on the PI. The PI is evaluated primarily if they have for having demonstrated the capacity to carry out the project. But really, it is the content of the proposed project that is is more important in the evaluation. So this is to say that you shouldn't be. I understand it may feel intimidating, but you should go for it and apply if you have this great idea. And from the data that we have, that range, the beginning of let's say the advanced grant, there's no eligibility window, but right after your COG eligibility window, applicants do not do badly. They have more or less similar success rates with older applicants. So this is just proof to say that it doesn't mean that because you are in the young cohort of the advanced scholars that you cannot successfully compete for an ERC grant.
Thank you, Dia. Thank you. This was a very critical question, and I think you really replied and you gave a really, good perspective to these applicants. So I think right now we can stop for now. We will take a 10-minute break. It's almost 12 now, so here in Greece. So we will be back at 10 past 12 to continue with the second part that has to do with hints and tips for a successful ERC application from Dr. Lianidou and from good practices and the experience of ERC grantees, Dr. Maria Charis and Dr. Christina Papageorgopoulou. So see you at 10 past 12, everybody. Thank you.
I think everyone is back. We can continue the webinar. And I can give the floor to Evi Lianidou, the ERC panel member, for some hints and tips for successful ERC application.
Okay. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Evi Lianidou. I'm a professor of analytical chemistry and clinical chemistry in the analysis of circulating tumor cells lab at the Department of Chemistry, University of Athens. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a real pleasure to be part of this very interesting workshop and very, very important for a lot of researchers in Greece that want to apply for an ERC grant. It's a great pleasure to serve as an ERC evaluator for 4 times. So I will share my experience in giving tips and hints for practical hints and tips for a successful ERC application. Can you see my screen? Everything's okay?
Yes.
So the evaluation criteria, as already said before, the main evaluation criteria is excellence of the idea and how you are going to implement it. The excellence of the research project based on a groundbreaking nature, on ambition and the feasibility as well of the project. There is also important to talk about the excellence of the principal investigator concerning intellectual capacity, creativity, scientific expertise, and capacity to execute the project. However, since 2024, the evaluation is primarily focused on the research project. Of course, the quality of principal's investigator CV is still playing a key role, but the main evaluation is based on the research project. Now, For the main grant schemes, and I'm going to talk about starting, consolidator, and advanced grants, not on synergy grants, there is only a single submission, so the applicants need to submit just once, but there is a two-step evaluation. We as reviewers get first the panel members. We have to assess remotely the part one, the CV, and the track record of the applicant. And then we have a panel meeting, and the proposal can be either retained for step 2 if it gets a score A, or it is rejected and it gets scores B or C. In this case, we write a very detailed feedback to applicants. It takes a lot of time to be very precise and very helpful to give in this feedback all the necessary information. So when the applicants want to reapply, they have all these tips in mind. So this is very helpful for the applicants, actually. Now, for the proposals that get a score A, we have maximum 44 proposals per panel, and above 44, even if they are A scored, and we have A plus, A minus, we even have for A some differentiations, we call them as non-invited. And these score A proposals are invited to the final evaluation. And actually, again, there is a remote assessment by panel members. We have time to read the step 2 proposals very carefully, the selected proposals. As I said, these are already submitted once, but now we have the opportunity to read carefully the step 2. So we have a complete research proposal. And after scoring these complete research proposals, we meet again. And this panel meeting is the most important because it's there that we take the decisions on who is going to get funded and who is not. Of course, at this part, an important role plays also the interview. And this is a very, very critical step because in this, we evaluate again and we select the proposals that are fundable, score A funded. And these are the ones that are within the available budget. And we have also proposals A non-funded, which are outside the available budget. Of course, the proposals that are not fundable and they are scored as B, they also get, we write a very detailed review. We give to the applicants a feedback so that this will help the applicants to resubmit. So this summarizes the whole procedure, and it's important, as said already before by previous speakers, that the part 1 and the part 2 are complementary and they do not overlap with each other. So some tips is, first of all, to register early on the funding and tenders portal. The applicants should consult the call documents in detail, check the ERC website. They should look also at funded projects in the field that you are interested, and testimonials, tutorials, and the Praxis network is very, very helpful in this part. You have to watch the ERC classes and videos and webinars. Important is also to talk to the institution grant office and to contact the national contact point, and also to even talk to previous ERC grantees. And ERCA can be contacted as well, where you can ask all your questions ahead of the submission deadline. As already said before, it's very important to start preparing the proposal earlier. Concerning the eligibility, for the starting grants, those that have taken their PhD since 2019 up to the end of 2023 are inclusive. and for the consolidator grants 2014 to end of 2018. And an important issue that the time that should be dedicated to the project is at minimum 50% for starting grants, 40% for consolidator grants, and 30% for advanced grants. As these have already been mentioned before, it is important to decide whether you are applying for a starting or consolidator grant based on your expertise. But the synergy grants allow also one PI outside the European Union. And you can also take this grant if you get granted to any place, to any host institution that you are collaborating with. You don't have to be employed to the host institution, but you need to give a support letter. There is a rumor that the quantity and fame of the host institution is increasing the chances and scores. This is not true. The host institution is not an evaluation criterion. Be very careful about that. It doesn't mean that if you go to the very best research center in Europe or anywhere else, the proposal will be funded. The decision is based on excellence of the proposed idea. So another important part for the submission is to choose the review panel. And ERC, a panel structure, provides guidance, but this is not meaning that this is a complete scientific classification. You may not find exactly your idea matching 100% the panels, but the panel titles, subtitles, descriptions do not reflect actual priorities. Any topic is welcome, but you can also flag another secondary review panel, which is important in case that your proposal can be also checked by expertise in another panel. There is a rumor that if you select correctly the panel, you may increase the chances. This is also a big mistake because the budget is distributed among the scientific panels as a function of demand. A success rate is equal among panels. So the best thing is to choose the panel that is right for your proposal. And we have 3 different domains, 28 different panels, and each panel has a chair and the panel members. In the life sciences area where I'm in, you can see that there are 9 different panels, and based on what your proposal is focused on, you may choose one of these panels, but you may choose as well a secondary panel. So if you go, let's say, for prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of human disease, you can also check as a secondary biotechnology and biosystems engineering if your proposal involves also the development of an assay or a new instrument. And you have time to check online in detail all these panels. And it is critical really to select the panel because in this way you have the experts. Each panel is the panel members are experts in this area. So they are more close to reviewing your proposal in the best way. In the ERC projects portfolio can be checked in the ERC dashboard, where you can find a lot of information. And now we have the part A and the part B, part B1 and part B2 for each proposal. The panel is actually seeing the budget, and in part B1, the abstract, the cross-panel explanation, the extended synopsis, the CV and track record, and this is checked in the first step by the panel members, and those proposals that are selected are further checked in step 2, where both the panel members and extra specialists can join for specific proposals. And then the part B is evaluated, which is submitted as a single PDF. And there we have the full scientific proposal and the funding ID. In this way, we have the full proposal. As I said before, part B1 and part B2 are complementary. So, what are the typical reasons for failing? If hypotheses and objectives are not sufficiently clear, if we have if you are missing the groundbreaking potential of the proposal, if there is no clear presentation of the risk and challenges, this is very important to write in the proposal clearly what are the risks that you are taking. If it's a high risk, high gain proposal, it's important. The contingency as well. Sometimes proposals are overly ambitious. It means that they are promising too much. Sometimes that it's very evident that in these years of this project, there is no time to do all these things. Or if somebody is overselling himself, this is also something that it's minus. And if there are interdisciplinary proposals, it's important to have expertise in every subject. So if expertise is missing in one area, this is also something minus for evaluation of the proposal. In the CV and track record, it's important to present the education and key qualifications, the current position and previous position of the applicant. It's important to highlight research achievements, less than 10, and peer recognition. It's important to demonstrate advancement in the field, emphasis on more recent achievements, prizes, fellowships, etc. And if there are any additional information, this should also be provided, like career breaks, diverse career paths, life events. These are also taken into account. But there is also a rumor that one needs publication in high impact factor journals like Nature, Science, but this is not necessary. Actually, we don't take into account if the applicant has 2, 3 publications in Nature or Science. The most important issue is the idea, the excellence of the idea that it's presented in the proposal. So the publication record of the applicant is not decisive in selection decisions. That meaning that if you are a young researcher and you don't have publication in Nature or Science or other high impact journals, but you have an excellent idea, try it and go for it. General tips. It's important to write a project that it's easy to read and attractive to the eye. You can have very informative figures in the project. That's very important. You better divide it into sections, and please be careful in typos. That's important. And it should be concise, but at the same time very informative. You must check coherence of figures. You may attention to figure legends. You make sure you give full references, and the references are excluded from the page limit. So there is no excuse not to properly reference all the citations. You have to list only the collaborations that agreed to collaborate with you. Your presentation of the project must be honest. You must present that as something that it's your own work. And in case that you have collaborations, you have to present the work of others and avoid bonus objectives. You must also test your proposal before submitting with mentors and friends. And there is real it is really important that you check and recheck the proposal before you submit. And you have to know that writing this proposal is hard, even if it's not so many pages. That's the hardest part of all, to show in such a few pages exactly what you want to do and have a proposal that is crystal clear with objectives and risks and contingencies and everything. So the interviews are important, very, very critical. In this way, we check immediately whether the applicant is really the one that wrote this proposal, that it's his own idea or her own idea, and have in mind all the grant and how the proposal is written. So this is done remotely. Interviews are online. The whole panel is present, is in person in Brussels, and we have in front of us the applicant. And before starting the interview, we already have discussed the questions that we are going to address, and we are all together evaluating how the applicant is actually responding and how well he documents his ideas. There is no need to explain your CV in this interview, but you must have clear representative slides and focus on your research project and nothing else. You must know every detail of the proposal and methods, the research area as well. The experts in the panel are very well established in the fields that you are applying, so that you may have very technical questions. And it's also important, in case that you have some preliminary data or new data after submitting the proposal, because it takes some time, so it's better if you present it. So you have a time slot where you can show slides, you can answer questions, and this is also important to keep the time and be very, very well prepared. To do this, you must practice a lot, of course. So, some concluding remarks. Don't excluding yourself from participating in ERC calls, especially in Greece. What we see, as it's already said, is that we have a very low submission rate. And if you have an idea that you think will make a significant change in your field of research, then go for it. You must take risks. You must explain your project's high scientific impact if you reach your aims, and provide evidence that you can do it. And if you fail, try again. You gain experience from evaluation. As I said before, the proposals that are scored as B, even or C, get a very detailed review, and this will help you to resubmit the proposal and make it much better. The panel feedback is very useful, and as said already, resubmissions have a higher success rate, and this is truly based on the fact that the applicants have now very good feedback from the reviewers. So thank you very much, and I'm ready to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lianidou. This was very important presentation and very helpful for the future applicants. I would like now to invite in the final session the testimonials of the ERC grantees. So we will hear the voices of the real grantees. So firstly, I would like to invite Ms. Harisi from fourth.
So thank you so much for the invitation. So my name is Maria Harisi. I'm an astrophysicist at Fourth, and my starting grant focuses on finding pairs of very massive black holes in the centers of galaxies that have formed through galaxy mergers. And the way to do that is to use light, which is what traditional telescopes detect, but also gravitational waves, which is a very new way to observe the universe. And practically my goal is to combine these two very different ways of observing the universe to find systems in a regime where we have never detected them before. Now, before I get to my experience of applying for this grant, I just wanted to share very briefly my academic path. This is a slide I copied from my ERC interview. So I got my bachelor's in physics from the Aristotle University, and then I moved to the US. I got my PhD from Columbia, and then I completed 2 postdoctoral fellowships, one at Caltech and one at Vanderbilt. And at the time of the ERC interview, I had already accepted a faculty position at Washington State University. Now, I have to admit that in terms of career planning, I have not been a very strategic planner. So I would say take my advice with a grain of salt, but some of the things you have already heard repeated. When these proposals are evaluated, they evaluate both the project, whether this is an innovative idea, whether this is a feasible project, but they also evaluate you as a researcher and why you're the right person to complete this project. So my advice would be to brag. This is very uncomfortable, especially if you have to do it live in an interview. Another piece of advice is that these grants are likely reviewed by your European colleagues. So it really pays to build your European network. Me coming from the US, I think that was a weakness because I feel I do have a stronger network in the US. And had I thought about applying for an ERC well in advance, I could have taken steps to make connections with key researchers in my subfield in Europe. And we have heard that writing these proposals is challenging, but I have to admit it is not an onerous task. The way to think about these proposals is that you have the opportunity to sit down and think what are the big questions in your field and how you can contribute and have a great impact in your field. And usually that makes me very excited about doing the science. I got my ERC the second time I tried. So the first time I applied was in 2022, just 5 years after my PhD. And that was an exploratory round. So my goal at that stage was to get to round 2, get to the interview. And that meant that I had to focus a lot more in part B1 to make sure that I could apply next year. I wouldn't be penalized with the 1 year of wait. And if your proposal is graded, gets a score A, there are some national funds that you can get to do part of the project. Now, for me, it really helped that I went through the process twice because first you get feedback from the reviewers. And second, going through the interview, you get questions that really help you understand what are the weak points of the proposal, or the points that were not clear and can be improved in a future iteration. Now, during the process, you probably have to ask for help at several different points. So if you're new, this is a starting grant and you're doing it the first time, you can ask your colleagues at the host institute to help you with the budget, give you the numbers for the salaries of PhD students, postdocs, and other resources. It is very useful to have a successful template. I had asked one of my friends who had gotten the grant a couple of years before me to share his proposal. And that may seem like a big ask, but I think people are willing to share their proposals. I have shared mine since I got in the grant with quite a few colleagues. And also, once you write the grant, ask colleagues and friends to read your proposal, especially part B1. And I would say ideally your audience should be colleagues that are in the same field, but not exactly in the same subfield. So you can get a general understanding of whether your proposal is clear or needs to be improved. Now, one piece of advice that I got, and I found it very useful, is to start with the budget. So when you bring one of these grants in Greece and you get 1.5 million euros or more, it really goes a long way. So the questions I asked was, what kind of resources do I need? And for me, the answer was very clear. I needed access to data from a specific telescope, and coming from the US, I would lose my data access, and I could request funds above the 1.5 million cap. And then after you calculate all the potential resources that you need, how many people months you can cover. And as I said, this goes a very long way. You can see how many postdoc years and PhD years I could cover with this grant. And this helps you in a way to determine what is the scope of the project. Knowing how much work you can accomplish in the 5 years really helps you understand how far this grant can go. Now, this may be controversial, but a lot of the times you get the advice that you really need to start early. And that may be the case for some people. But my PhD advisor usually said that if you start early, you will waste your time. So maybe that's not good advice, but I started the first time that I wrote the grant from scratch about 6 weeks before the deadline. And admittedly, I had quite a bit of time to work on the proposal during these 6 weeks. The second time, that was a resubmission, I started a bit over a week before the deadline, and I just knew what points I knew I needed to improve. One thing that bothered me was this obsession with the high risk, high gain projects and how that was interpreted. And since I applied, this has actually changed what it means, and even they have removed this high risk, high gain language. Because to me, it was I was taking it to interpret that it has to be something very new, very outside of what I have done, and that seemed daunting. But in reality, from my experience and from seeing friends and colleagues getting these grants, in practice, this means that you know what is the frontier of your field, and you propose something that will be impactful and will push the frontier forward. In putting together this application, I think it goes a long way if you put some effort and some thought on how you present the information. So for example, this is a slide from my presentation where I lay the milestones in my field and how my proposal can push some of these milestones. And this is a graphic summary of the projects that I had proposed. So find ways to make the information you present as digestible as possible, whether that is using text box, bullet points, and figures. And finally, the interview is a very important component. You typically get 10 minutes to present yourself, your accomplishments, and what you plan to do, and convince people to give you a lot of money. So this is not your typical presentation. You need to practice a lot. It's probably one of the few talks that I memorized the text. But also you need to keep in mind that for what you're proposing, you are the expert in the room. Even though you have people that have broad expertise and maybe they are senior and established, they won't know the details of your work as well as you do. I found it quite easy to anticipate what they would ask or what were the weaknesses of my proposal, and that helped me prepare answers. And of course, you need to know every detail of your proposal. I assume you would know the science, that's obvious, but you also need to know the details of your budget. For example, in the first interview, they asked me why my publication costs were low, or to justify exactly the funding I had asked for computational resources. And sometimes it helps to know your field. They may ask you why you're the right person to do it, who else can do it, and why you can do it better. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Harisi. To be honest, this is actually controversial, yes, the preparation part. But let me just add that you have already had some preliminary results, as I understand, and a ready idea. So it is possible maybe for other attendees to write a proposal in such a short time. So yeah, thank you for this kind of insight also. Okay, let's go to the final presentation. Ms. Christina Papageorgopoulou from Demokritos University of Thrace and an ERC grantee. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I was granted the City Life, a biological study of 1,800 years of resilience and adaptation to urbanity. I study actually skeletons. I'm a paleoanthropologist. And the main idea of the project is that we know that cities are settings of poverty, inequality, and infectious diseases through all years of human history. But today, and this is also the projections, 60% of the world population is living in cities. So the main question is how historical populations adapted and developed resilience to the disadvantages of urban life. And this is the main idea. The idea is that there is a urbanization mechanism that actually has to do with human biology, but also with the social advantages we have in when we are living in the cities. And the idea of the project is to untangle these gears of this mechanism for human evolution and human history. I will talk today about the concept, the preparation of the grant, the interview, and what was my experience throughout of this. We have heard today that the idea is the most important thing. It's true, the idea is the most important thing. It has to be innovative, new. It has to bring the breakthrough for the field. It has, if I'm allowed to say, it has to be like an umbrella in the field and bring something completely new and open new horizons. It doesn't have to be too narrow, is my actually my experience through the process. It has to be ambitious, but also well organized. You have to have in this idea to think from the beginning to have excellent partners or partners that they are suitable to assist you on completing this project. From the beginning, when working on your idea, check on the latest literature, check on what the other colleagues and competitors are doing. Be very critical yourself, note down the weaknesses, but also note down the strong points in order when you start writing to help you bring out these strong points. Preparation of what I did when I was writing, of course you have to check, we had it many times, you have to check the ERC guidelines. We have today that some of the guidelines, they have been changed now. I submitted the proposal in 2023. Choose the right panel. I was in the social sciences and humanities, the study of the human past, which is the 6th panel there in this group. Think how I have studied, I must admit that I have studied the panel, I saw the panel members, I knew what were the disciplines of the panel members. So somehow I tried to present it also within this academic community, this idea. I prepared a lot myself. I have seen all the videos of the ERC that they are in the ERC webpage. I have saw the webinars. I have read the abstracts of successful projects in my panel. And the first thing was to contact friends and the colleagues that they had experience with ERC. And I was lucky enough to have enough friends that they could share in a discussion their experience. Ask ERC proposals, we had it before. There will be some friends that they will give you their ERC proposals, and I have given it also to other colleagues my ERC proposal in order to have a brief idea of how it has to be written or how it has been structured. We heard today that the B1 part and B2 part now have changed. It's true, however, that the B1, it will be read as first from the panel. It will be very decisive. So try to bring all the innovation of your project and in a clear way that somebody very quickly can understand it and be inspired from this and impressed by this. I wrote again the B2 and I scrutinized this because then if you go through the first stage, the panel, and we heard it already that they will read in very detail the B2 part. And at that point, when I submitted, I returned back to the B1. So I wrote the B1, I wrote the B2, and then I returned back to the B1 and I tried to make it even more precise, even more compact, even more exciting. To do all this, you need plenty of time. I would suggest that to start early. I felt I had started around 3 months before. I think that it was not too much. So I would suggest that to think about all of this 1 year, it's a good time, at least of thinking and preparing on writing. The interview, my experience for the interview is I had exactly 5 minutes to present. It depends, the minutes you get depends on the stage that you are, consolidator, starting or advanced. I had 5 minutes, so I had prepared myself for 4.5 minutes. One panel member is responsible to lead the interview, and I was told so. So he said that I'm responsible to lead the interview and to ask the questions, and then other panel members, 3 or 4 panel members also were responsible to actually ask me the questions of the external expertise that they have read the proposal. I tried in the interview, in these 5 minutes, to focus on the main idea and to give it, because you have to imagine that you get 2 million and you have to present this idea in 5 minutes. I didn't get lost into details of the project. And I tried to make the presentation attractive and not without text. And actually, I had a lot of pictures like the colleague showed before. I contact my colleagues that they have been, of course, passed through the interview, so they have given me a lot of advice. And I asked, what I did also to prepare myself was I asked all the project members and the advisors that they have read my proposal to note down all their questions and clear points, whatever they thought that they would like to ask me. And from this, I made a list. And I had many questions for which I prepared myself. And I must admit that all of this preparation was very actually positive, because at the end, all of the questions I got from the reviewers were from this list of questions other colleagues and members had while reading my proposal. A lot of people organized the mock interview. I didn't want to organize the mock interview, but this I would suggest that if you like, you can do it. But I had organized smaller interviews with different groups of researchers because there was a very interdisciplinary panel. So I had from human biologists to historians and archaeologists. So I had organized smaller groups where I had interviews with them, and they asked me and I answered. I suggest that this will be very helpful to organize, and you have to make a lot of practice, because exactly you have 4 or 5 minutes for this, or even 8 minutes is not too much. I memorized also my presentation, and I made a lot of practice. You have to show that you are confident. you have to show that you are successful to complete the project. I think that confidence is important. So that's why I would suggest that you have, of course, you will know everything that you are writing. It should be like this. So be yourself on how you are answering and how you present yourself, but also your idea. At the end, I would say that this ERC submission, I think that it's a journey on its own. I think that everybody becomes a winner despite the result. If you start early, you will have enough time for the different grant types, so starting, consolidator, and advanced, and I think that this is worth it. And my also suggestion would be to work on the core idea and try to build on this project, produce some preliminary results, work your track record towards this idea. So something that could be very coherent then when you are submitting this. I think that this is a lot of preparation or a lot of brainstorming that you will need to do. But since the ERC changed your scientific life, I think that it's worth the effort. Thank you very much. Here is my wonderful ERC team that I thank them. And if somebody would like to contact me or through the Praxis network, I will be willing to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question now for Mrs. Lianidou, who is a panel member. Mrs. Elena Gansu is asking, in terms of the secondary panel option, can we choose a category, for example, from life sciences panel and one from the physical sciences panel? I don't know if Mrs. Lianidou can hear us.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, you can select any panel that you think that your proposal is, let's say, relative to. And in this case, members of the other panel read your proposal, they give their evaluation report, and we take into account finally all the reports. In some cases, also I did mention that in some cases that the three, we ask for a fourth review or for the panel members. And we can also ask external specialists, we can so that we come to conclusion after a very, very robust evaluation. We are very sure that it's not a person's evaluation, but it's based on 3 reviewers, maybe from another panel as well. And more than that, we can have external reviewers, external specialist reviewers, experts. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I think because your signal was a bit off, we couldn't hear you
Any other
properly, but I
question
think
for
we
me?
understood the main message. No, I think now we are okay with the questions. So the rest of the questions
I'm
that are
sorry
in
for
the
that.
chat.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, Ms. Lianidou, don't worry, no worries at all. These things happen. So I think now some other questions that are not already answered from Dia and Ms. Lianidou, we will do a follow-up and you will have all the answers either together with a video or as a separate file when everything else that pertains to this webinar will be available. So I think right now it is time for us to finish this, I think, very interesting webinar for the ERC funding opportunities. At this point, I would like to thank first all the people that contributed in the beginning and giving nice introductions for us. Dr. Charmandaris, Samantha, then followed by Dr. Gaitanis, the General Secretary for Research and Innovation in Greece. We would really like to thank Themis Alissafi for giving us information about the ERC ambassadors and what they do in Greece. Of course, we would like to thank very much Dia Anagnostou, who did all the heavy lifting of this webinar and delivered the main parts of the ERC program and how you can apply for a ERC grant in the different categories. Next, I would like to thank Dr. Lianidou that gave a very interesting presentation on her part as a panel member. And I think it was a very, very interesting thing for our attendees to listen to your insights, Dr. Lianidou. And then I would like to thank Dr. Maria Harisi and Dr. Christina Papageorgopoulou that they shared their experience and they gave us their lights as well. And lastly, I would like to, besides thanking Praxi Network, I would like to thank Dr. Ioannis Karanassos, who also was the main person that contributed and organized today's webinar. Thank you very much, Ioannis, for the excellent cooperation. And last but not least, I would like to thank Praxi Network, Dr. Evropi Sofia Dalabira. We started together as NCPs and now we are 3 NCPs in Greece. We have also Dr. Yorgos Kilafis. So we really try to invest in supporting researchers in Greece to achieve ERC grants. And Dr. Konstantinos Vavekis that gave the presentation on how as NCPs we contribute to Greece and to the innovation ecosystem. I would like to thank the communication team that did also all the heavy work and promoted this webinar to you today. And please, if you have any other things that you would like to know, don't hesitate to contact us. And I hope this was a very nice and productive morning for you. Thank you all very much. Goodbye.